Warning: the following video may have language that some viewers may find offensive, and others are already offended. Viewer discretion is advised, but not really. No animals were hurt in the making of this 4-hour feature film.
Perfect. Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Full Monty video podcast shot right here in St. Thomas, Ontario. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the St. Thomas Fire Fighters Association. Who are they? What do they do? I don't know too much about them, but my guest certainly does. He's actually the president of the association, a group that started back in the early 1900s.
Yeah, around there.
Somewhere in there. So welcome to the hot seat. We got Daryl Smith, everybody knows as a local firefighter, and I'm actually wearing my hot dog shirt because somebody told me Daryl is a hot dog king. All right, so that's why we have the hot dog shirt. So Daryl, this is all for you, my friend. So thanks for coming in.
I know who that probably was. So.
Okay, well I'm not naming names. All right, so all right, so yeah, thanks Daryl for coming in. So let's start off with, where were you born and where'd you grow up?
I was born here actually at St. Thomas Elgin General.
Okay.
I was born early. I was supposed to be born July 4th, and I was born May 3rd. So it was.
Oh wow,
I was a bit of a
little
premature.
preemie.
Yeah, I was. Believe it, at one point or not, I weighed 3 pounds 12 ounces. So.
3.
Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah,
my son was born at 5'13" and he fit
Yeah.
in my hand.
Yeah, it was a little
3.
peanut. Yeah. So,
Wow, you were a peanut.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Awesome. So
grew up in Port Stanley though.
did you?
Yeah, I spent lived there probably till early to mid 20s, and yeah, I grew up there and enjoyed growing up there and had a lot of fun down there and as a kid. And
so what changes from then to what you see now? What's not there anymore when you grew up?
Port Stanley, I remember going down and watching boats come in, the big freighters, all that. Just,
Like the lake liners,
yeah,
were they? Yeah.
Yeah, some would stay over the winter, and way
Really?
more fish tugs and stuff. I remember they'd be doubled up as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, and
Wow.
yeah.
Oh wow. Now the was it the casino or the Guy Lombardo used to play at that,
at the
hall?
Stork Club.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Stork Club,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Was
Before
that actually still there? at
before
the
my time?
That was
Yeah,
before your
yeah,
time? Okay.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right, so you're not that old.
No.
All right. And then school. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Port Stanley Public School, and then after I was graduated from there, and then I went to Parkside here in the city, and then I went straight into working after that for the municipality of Central Elgin. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, as a teenager growing up, so that's in Port Stanley, but did you get into trouble?
No, I was pretty good. For the most part, I was pretty good. I spent a lot of time at the arena down there, and as you know, 13, 14, we'd play hockey late at night. We helped clean the arena,
Okay.
that kind of stuff, and then that actually, that kind of taught me a good work ethic, and then I ended up getting a job with the Parks Department in Central Elgin, and kind of how
did you?
stuff started to
So where
evolve.
what did you do then, like around Central Elgin? Was it
So,
planting flowers and stuff in different areas, or
yeah, I did a vast amount of things. I did watered flowers, cleaned up the garbage on the beach, ball diamonds, beach cleaning, that kind of stuff.
Okay, beach cleaning.
Yeah.
Have you found anything back then that was pretty unique?
Not really, because we were on a big loud tractor, and you start at 5 in the morning
okay.
with lights, and everything kind of went up the belt and fell in the back, and then you went and dumped it. So you never
okay.
really went through.
You never got to go really through it. I'm
No.
sure there was some pretty
Probably,
cool stuff
yeah,
in there.
yeah.
People lose on the
Yeah.
beach. So I guess that kind of takes care of what was your first job.
That wasn't my
So-
first job
No?
though.
Okay, so
my
what was it?
Well, first job, like every kid back then, was a paper
Paper.
route. But
St. Thomas Times Journal, or was it London
I
Free
did.
Press?
No, Times Journal after school, go deliver it, and then did the market as well. So
Oh, the Elgin County
yeah,
Market.
and
Yeah.
then I worked at a pizza place in Port Stanley called Bookies. Yeah,
Bookies.
yeah.
Where was that?
Right on William Street, kind of near Eve Cavell.
Okay.
Right there. It's not a. I think it's just a residence now. But
Oh, is it? Okay.
yeah, Rick and Chris Booker, they were very good to me as a young man,
cool.
and they were really good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So as you're growing up, what made you want to become a firefighter?
Interestingly enough, in high school I did a project, or I went to do a project on firefighting, and I was in, I think, grade 10 or 11 at the time, and talked to the guidance counselor about, well, you don't have this course, you don't have that course, you can't go to this college program. So I kind of never thought anything of it at the time, and finished high school, got into working for Central Elgin at the time. My dad was a volunteer firefighter in Port Stanley, which had just Central Elgin amalgamated in '98, I believe. So he was on the Port Stanley Volunteer Fire Department when he started, and then it became Central Elgin Port Stanley. Then when I started in, I guess it was 2000, I started on Port Stanley but it was Central Elgin.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how I kind of started my firefighting journey, and I thought, well, I could really do this for a job, and then come to realize there's lots of different ways you can get into the profession at the time, and
that was actually one of my questions. Is I remember back in the early '90s when I lived in Grand Bend, if you wanted to join the volunteer fire department, you just kind of went over, talked to the chief. If you liked you, whatever, and you were serious, you came on, you trained pretty much on the job. It ain't like that anymore.
Not now. Now it's even different. I was in 2000, so 24 years ago that I was on there, and it was, we did some testing at the regiment here in town, and you had to do a bunch of things, and then kind of have a little interview. And
back then,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but then I kind of, when I was on the volunteer department, I thought I could do this. I could really do this for a job. So I went to Texas for firefighting school.
Texas.
I was a water operator at the time with Municipality of Central Elgin, and applied for a leave of absence, saved my holidays, saved a lot of things, and fortunate enough they gave me a leave of absence to go. So I went down to Texas ended up being close to 4 months. I left in October, got back in February. So I came home once, I think, during Christmas. So yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just for a few days, yeah. So.
I know they've had Lambton Fire College for a lot of years.
Yeah.
My ex-brother-in-law now, but he used to be a member of the Berks Falls.
Oh, okay.
Volunteer, but he went to Georgian Bay at that time. But
yeah,
it was intense, man.
Yeah.
I seen his book. Like, that thing was thick.
Yeah, we did a lot. Like, you weren't allowed to miss more than 2 days. It was, sometimes you went into the night doing training, like you'd be in class and then training, and kind of, I remember going back. I was home for Christmas, had to get back on New Year's Eve. We even did evolutions on New Year's Eve. We were that kind of jam packed. So when it's kind of a compressed program, you have to get your work done, and then at the end of it, you have to write like a state test, and then they have proctors there, and you walk into a room or walk into an area, and they say, you don't know what skill you're going to be tested on, so you have to know everything.
Oh my God.
Mine was, I think SCBA was one of them at the time, a ladder one, and then you walk into another room, and they gave you a bunch of couplings, and you had so many seconds to put it together and do all that to pass your test. So. Yeah.
It's not no longer just, here's the hose, there's the fire, go at it.
No, it's definitely tactics and everything changed and have evolved, and over the years. So yeah.
The one thing that I honestly, I would have loved to join the volunteer fire department around our, Yarmouth or whatever.
Yeah.
I used to have my Azed for a lot of years, and then back in 2007, when I had my heart attack and became an insulin diabetic, and I was driving fuel truck back then, and the ministry took my dangerous goods and then took my A, and they said, we're going to downgrade you. I've already been, it was almost 30 years driving. I said, you know what, just take it. It's just a shame that even the fire departments today, I understand why every member of the fire department has to have their license.
Yeah.
Was it the rule? I don't know. Is it still the rule, like in a volunteer situation, but it's usually the first ones at the hall are the ones that are driving?
Yeah, I think back to that's a long time ago. I have to remember, but it was yeah, whoever got there first kind of brought the trucks, and I remember back then we had our gear on the trucks, so and
Yeah.
then you get ready on the scene.
Because I've seen lots of firefighters now that were toting their gear in their vehicles.
Yeah,
And
which
then I heard they were kind of getting away from that. They were
yeah,
telling them, no, they don't want the bunker gear in cars and
yeah,
because of
that's
oxygen tanks and
well, not only that, but
the
the
contamination.
the contamination of your gear. But we've also learned now that there's PFAS in our gear, which are cancer causing.
Okay.
That's one thing that the IFF and OPFA and everybody's trying to work hard at give so we don't have as much exposure to
Right.
toxic chemicals.
Fatalities from work related is huge, isn't it?
It's I would say probably in the 70, like every year we I think I'm going to the Ontario Memorial in a couple weeks, and I think there's 73 to 75 names going on the wall, and I would say probably 80% of those would be occupational disease related.
Okay.
So it's
That's
something I never thought about when I got into the job. That's
so
for
our
sure.
chief that we lost.
Yeah. Rob Broadbent.
Rod, yeah. I knew him personally, knew his family, and
Yeah.
great guy.
Yeah.
Was that cancer his death? Was that
It was a
work
line.
related?
It was
That
a
was
line. It was a line of duty death. Yeah.
It was a line of
And
duty. Yeah.
yeah, and so he's on the memorial that that I'll
Yeah.
be going to in a couple weeks. There's a memorial. It's the IFF memorial, so our International Association of Firefighters. That memorial is this weekend. It's in Colorado Springs. When he was put on the wall there, Rob's family made it down, and
Oh, nice.
I went down, and Warren Scott at the time went down, and
That's got to be emotional.
it is one of the most
That's-
emotional places I've been, and it's like Pikes Peak is in the background, and it's a pretty emotional spot. It's
I've thought about emergency services, and paramedics are one thing. Police, they run into quite a bit of bad situations too,
Mhm.
but you never really think about firefighting.
yeah,
Like the intensity and it's very demonic, a fire. I mean,
Yeah.
it just consumes anything and everything, right?
Yeah.
And you guys are running into that.
yeah,
Like the what you guys deal with. No
Yeah.
wonder the training. It's got to
Mhm.
be so much mental training and stuff that even
Yeah.
putting them out. We did a mock disaster years ago at the airport.
yeah,
It was Central Elgin. St. Thomas was there. We made out that the plane had crashed into a
Yeah.
bunch of school buses and everything. You
Yeah.
probably saw the video I'd done at that time.
yeah,
We were in one of the hangars with all the big industrial smoke machines, and I'm crawling on the floor with the
Yeah.
firefighter.
yeah,
And even I didn't have the mask on.
Yeah.
Nothing. I actually had a hand scanner so I could hear everybody that was talking,
Yeah.
which sounded better for the video.
yeah,
But man, even though it was a mock, that was intense. 'Cause
yeah,
it was very hard to breathe, even that
Mhm.
I got nothing on other than I'm crawling, trying to see the guy in front of me. I'm
Yeah.
getting like the rubber boots.
yeah,
And how intense it was in the mind to think of not knowing where you are,
yeah,
like to lose direction.
yeah,
Thank God I kind of stayed to the wall,
hmm
that I at least had an idea on how far in the building it was. But
yeah,
I couldn't imagine you guys are going into something that you've never been in before, like
Yeah.
someone's residential house.
yeah. It's interesting. I sometimes say to people, picture you're sleeping in your house. You get up in the middle of the night, you run into your garage, jump in your car, and you go to somebody's house. Try walking around in the dark. How hard is that?
Yeah.
Right now
Yeah.
we're going, and it's a different circumstance, but and more intense than that. But even that alone, when you put that to friends and family, they're like, never thought of that.
Even though there's a
So-
raging fire somewhere in there, that it's black,
Yeah,
isn't it? Because
Yeah.
those rooms are so full of smoke.
yeah, it gets pretty acrid and black, and fires today are they burn a lot more intense than they
Yeah.
did years ago, and acrid black just because of what is burning. And
Right,
Yeah.
right. I know the emphasis on Christmas and how fast Christmas trees goes up, but you got to
Yeah.
think of furniture too, and
Yeah.
all the chemicals in that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So,
yeah,
that's pretty intense. But we just had 9/11,
hmm
so fire departments everywhere were doing their memorials.
Mm-hmm.
Now I saw that now there's been more firefighters passed from the after effects
Yeah.
than there were actually of the day.
Yeah, it's
So how
and at the
much?
time, like I said earlier, is something you don't think about.
Yeah.
Like you don't think about occupational disease. You don't think you just want to get in there and help. You want to do everything, and now it's
That's
you know
scary stuff.
it's really starts to creep into the back of your mind as you because we have presumptive legislation for firefighters. Like so, if you come up with certain cancers with
Yeah.
certain years of service, it's presumed to be job related. So it kind of plays in the back of your head, and it's good to have those benefits. But we're trying to be better in decontamination, cleaning our gear. Like we've had 2 sets of gear for a long time, thankfully.
Okay.
Now that's kind of the standard across our
I've
province.
seen the big
and-
cleaners you have in Station 1, those big giant
Yeah.
machines. That
Yeah, it's
they're like a way oversized washing machine. But is there
Yeah,
special chemicals you put in with that?
there is like detergents and stuff to
Yeah.
get everything out. Dirty gear when I started 24 years ago or whatever, it was kind of cool and badge honor. Now not cool anymore.
Not cool.
Get it clean, get it out of service. If it's been in a fire, clean it, bag it, clean it, and then when it's clean, we hang it to dry and then get it back.
And you
in
guys are
service.
responsible for your own gear?
No,
Or
the
do you
city,
have
the
somebody-
city,
City
the
does?
city,
Okay.
the city's responsible for our gear. It also goes out at least once a year to get clean service for any holes. It gets inspected to make sure it's up to standard, and we only have it for a maximum of 10 years, and then it gets taken out of service. So
Wow.
yeah.
But it's a very scary, the chemicals, everything else in there that's going on. It is pretty crazy. But now so it makes me think back to the early 1800s when St. Thomas Fire Department started.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we've all seen the pics of the old days with the horses and whatever.
Yeah.
And especially the old one at, what was it, Canes and Hiawatha?
Yeah, on Southwick Street.
Southwick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. That's where our station used to be.
wasn't there one, though, at Canes? I thought it was Canes in St. Catharines, the old PUC building. There was an old ramp that used to go down. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure.
I think that was an old fire hall over
maybe.
there. I'll have to ask Steve Peters about that, but
for
Steve's
sure.
the one that knows
He'll
all
know
this
for
stuff,
sure,
right? But
yeah.
I thought I saw a picture years ago of one. There was a fire,
Yeah.
something there. I know it wasn't police because that was in the old town hall and everything.
Yeah.
And then Southwick had the original fire.
Yeah.
But when you see those old pics, regardless, I always wonder how old did those guys live?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did they get to a retirement age? I bet you most of them never did.
Yeah, it's interesting. We actually should come by Station 1. We have a picture wall of anybody that's worked in the fire department going back a long time. So
Actual, like the individuals?
yeah, we have
Oh, yeah,
pictures,
I've
and
seen
there's some that
the
aren't
chiefs
pictures.
and
But
stuff.
yeah, no, on the other side, we have a
Oh,
whole nother,
okay.
every person that's worked for the fire department kind of.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I've always said that about councils. Like you see the past mayors when you go down the main hallway, but it always would have been neat to see from day one the individual people that were elected. I don't know. Maybe they do have that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm sure they have like an actual group shot of all the counselors and everything. But individual shots would have been nice to see.
We'll have to get you over for a visit maybe soon, because right now we actually have the IFF Firefighter Survival Training trailer at Station 1.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's kind of travels around the province, and so we have 2 firefighters that are trained to teach us. Like they go for a train-the-trainer course. It's put on by our union.
So it's brought in for you guys. It's not an actual public.
No,
they come
it's
in and take a look.
so it's for our training to kind of self-rescue ourselves out of a fire.
Yeah.
Because your odds are better that you're going to get yourself out of there versus somebody coming to get you.
Sure.
So we're doing that training actually right now. We have it till the end of the month or so. Then we have to take it to Toronto because I'm heading there for a seminar after that. So, yeah.
So let's talk about the association. So
Sure.
what exactly is the St. Thomas Firefighters Association?
So we represent the members of the department. We're the union side, so to say. So we have 61 members currently. I'm lucky enough to be our president. I just got a claim to the position for another term, which is a yearly term. So I think I've been on our board for 12 or 13 years or somewhere around there.
Okay.
I was the vice president before that and secretary. So
Now that's made up of just strictly firefighters?
Yeah.
You don't have any civilian
No.
members or volunteers or anything?
nothing
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
Yep.
So we represent the members. So we have twofold. We have the kind of the work we do in the community, and then we have the representation of our members is kind of the two sides of it. So
Okay, so when we see you guys out, like, remember when we had the Fantasy of Light?
yeah,
And the fire department were out there doing the boot drive.
Yep.
Got the big boot out there, and they're asking for donations.
Yeah.
Muscular Dystrophy?
Uh,
Was it MD? Is
yeah,
that the main one?
that's our main charity of choice. I think
Okay.
that's going back to 1954, if memory serves me.
Wow. Okay.
That there's been a relationship between muscular dystrophy and firefighters. Yeah, we do stuff like that. We do, the Fantasy of Lights. Back when we did the reverse parade, we helped MPP Uric and MP Vecchio, and everybody kind of came together, and the mayor, and I think there was Optimus was heavily involved, a few other service clubs, and we kind of ran the boot at the front, so to say, and that
Okay.
went to various kind of food banks and
Oh, so our local
around
charities.
it kind of went around the county. And I think the one year it was upwards of $18,000. Like, it was really good.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of money. I
Wow.
as long as my memory
But
serves
that
me.
is
But-
that is the association
Yeah,
that's doing
so
that,
these-
or is
so
that
those-
just St. Thomas Fire?
Yeah, so those are off-duty association members. Like, anytime
Okay.
you see us doing a boot drive or helping out at we do the Salvation Army kettle at the LCBO every Christmas. I'm gonna leave stuff out. Anytime we were doing fire muster related stuff. Anytime we were doing
Oh, you
anything.
just hit one there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about
Yeah.
that one.
So
but-
anytime we're out there, it's typically off duty, and we're
Okay.
just
So
helping.
you're volunteering your
Yeah.
time now
Yeah.
for this cause.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
the other side is the representation of our members, and we have a executive board of 3 with a past president as well, and our job is kind of to represent members in any, we advocate for health and safety, all that kind of stuff. Like, we talked about occupational disease. Now we're trying to be better with, not, decontamination, and, we've also helped with mental health,
Okay.
all kinds of, and then, we get
Yeah,
into
there's
the other side of things, representation, like typical union stuff, like grievances or
Okay.
collective bargaining, all that kind of stuff. And then we, in turn, we're the representatives for the member. Like, I was just in Boston at the end of August for the International Association of Firefighters Convention. So there was 60 resolutions on the floor.
Wow.
We spend the week kind of, then throughout the year, we'll do a fall education seminar that's coming up, labor and health and safety.
Okay.
Then we'll go to Queen's Park, usually end of November, first part of December, and lobby for firefighter safety and all that kind of
Oh, yeah.
stuff. And yeah, and then
Do they let you in the building?
yep. Oh yeah,
Really?
we do. We do meetings. We do
Good stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. Over the years.
So it's very civil. You're not out there
Oh,
in
yeah.
the front lawns with the big
No,
signs.
no,
And,
we're
yeah, you guys are right in there. Good.
our motto is we do our business through the front door, not
Good,
out,
good,
not down and dirty. So
Yeah, that's right.
you sit down, talk about things, and
Okay.
usually we'll go with just a few issues that are important to firefighters. Like that's how presumptive legislation came to be. Which, interestingly enough, Steve Peters was the Minister of Labor when firefighter presumptive cancer came into effect.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
actually had a local guy probably backing you and driving that. And,
yeah, for sure.
Oh, awesome.
So
Awesome.
then-
So
Yeah.
the association then does the suppression prevention training. So this is what it's all falling into.
So yeah, that's the kind of, we represent them in different areas, but yeah, our suppression firefighters are the ones that respond to calls and calls for
Okay.
service, and kind of the last line of defense. Prevention is one of the first lines of defense, because if you can prevent it from happening, that's great.
Which
So-
now that's where, excuse me, Kim and Shannon come in now with the fire prevention office, right?
Yeah, Kim, Shannon, and Matt. Yeah.
Oh, Matt's
yeah.
on there now
yeah.
too. Yes,
yeah.
that's right.
So,
Matt Rumor. So
Yeah.
yeah, I actually went in there a couple weeks ago, and Matt was. They had actually taped a sign to the back of Matt.
Oh.
Tell him don't bug him because he's too easily distracted.
Oh,
or
that's
something. That was funny.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and Matt, I think, what's the dog? like the
Oh,
costume.
Sparky.
Sparky.
Yeah.
So I think that was Matt,
Yeah.
I think, a few times
Could
inside
be.
that thing.
Yeah.
Small enough to get in there, I
Yeah,
guess. I don't
fair.
know. But so communications then, now this is involving like dispatch?
Yep.
Or is this amongst you guys too?
Yep.
Like,
No, we do have a certain amount of firefighters that are trained to fill in as well for if they're on holidays and that kind of thing.
okay.
But yeah, our communications divisions right now, there's something coming into play called NG911. It's going to improve the communications, the abilities of our dispatch, and kind of how we're going to call take and dispatch and hopefully make
Well,
things
here's
better.
a question though. I wanted to ask the police this though, and so when here in St. Thomas, I called 911.
Yep.
Does it not go to the police station? Are they the operators, or
prime-
where
so-
does it go?
So what used to happen is it used to just, when you called 911, it would go to a 911 center. Could be
Yeah.
in Sudbury, could be wherever.
Right.
So a few years ago, the police started to do that primary answering point, and then it gets so that your call is going to go to police. If it's ambulance, then they're going to route it to CAC, route it to us, or route
Right.
it to police. Yeah.
Because I recently had to call for an
Yeah.
incident we had here
Yeah.
that we needed an ambulance and everything right away.
Yeah.
The person on the phone was like, "What's your nearest intersection? Your main
Mhm.
intersection? Whereabouts is it you're located?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, and I remember saying to her, "What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You're here in St. Thomas, right?" And she
Yeah.
just said, "No, we're not in the city."
Oh, okay.
Didn't tell me where, and I thought, "Where the hell
Yeah.
is this call going?"
Yeah. So that's where the primary call did go to police, but then they sent it to CAC, ambulance dispatch in London, probably, and
Oh.
then
Okay.
they dispatch the ambulance, and then they also tier us for our tiered response, and if it fits our
Okay.
criteria, then we go to the call.
I
too.
didn't even notice.
So yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah,
When I had this sign made,
yeah,
this with all our, and I mean that was awesome. Everybody in
Yeah.
Elgin, our
Yeah.
emergency service, they were great,
yeah,
handing out all our patches. But when I did the paramedic,
yeah.
I found out they're from out west.
The company Medivi, I don't know a
Yeah.
lot about them, but yeah,
Because I had
Yeah.
asked them about actually bringing somebody on so we could
Yeah.
talk about being a paramedic and you
Yeah.
know what's all involved and
Mhm.
different classes, what they have to do.
Yeah,
And I could never get a response. And it
Oh.
wasn't until I went out and talked to one of the supervisors at their station
yeah,
that he told me, yeah, it's all done out west. So
Oh,
they
okay.
probably,
Hmm.
they didn't even know who they should be talking to find out.
all
I'm
right,
like, okay, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
fair
Now
enough.
now I know.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
oh, wow. That's quite a thing. So I wanted to talk about when you think back in history, like since you've been on the fire department, what stands out in your mind of a big event or something that happened that you were a part of?
There's been many. I don't know if I could pick just one thing that steps. I was at the Alma College fire. A lot of people know about the big West End fire that was.
That was a big one.
Yeah, it was cold. I remember cold. I remember being basically on the tip of the ladder truck, and spraying water and having to break the ice out, like kind of to walk down.
Yeah, that was
so,
minus 34
yeah,
or
it
something
was-
that night.
It was cold. Yeah.
And didn't
yeah.
one of that truck that was parked on New Street, didn't it actually froze in
Uh,
that spot for a while?
No, it wasn't really frozen. The hose, when we broke it down, it was hard to roll up because it was
Okay.
just so,
Yeah, it was so
kinda-
rigid.
yeah.
That was a big
Yeah.
fire, but it didn't help for heat that night.
No,
did
it didn't. No, no.
So that was a big one.
Yeah.
Anything else that we were?
Yeah, there's been some MVCs and some other stuff
Okay.
that I can remember, and yeah, it's kind of starts to all blend together in
All right.
the years, but yeah.
Excuse me. This just kind of comes to mind because I'm going to tie it in with this. So, when you're attending MVCs, even fatality fires, PTSD,
hmm
this has got to be huge. Also with fire members,
Yeah.
you guys see some brutal stuff.
Yeah.
So for many years, it was you didn't talk about it, right?
Mhm.
That was a sign of weakness. You don't
Mhm.
talk about that stuff, like
Yeah.
grin and bear it. And
Yeah.
then the police and everybody started to open up about it.
Mhm.
And soldiers,
Mhm.
I was dealing with that. Did a video a few years ago down in St. Catharines.
hmm
Soldier suicide was
hmm
on the rise. First responders, same thing. There's a
Yeah.
lot of suicides that are happening. So,
Yeah.
what on your side? I'm sure you've seen some stuff. So, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I think you have people that you trust that you can confide in and talk about, and
Yep.
Yeah, and it's important to talk about it, and I would say it's good to talk about. No one would ever. I think the stigma is improved a lot. I don't think it's like it used to be. We have also have a peer support team here at the fire department that we got training through the International Association of Firefighters. We're kind of growing that committee, as we can. We've had a committee for a long time. It used to be just critical incident stress management. Now it's kind of moving into a model of peer support as a whole. And then hopefully you can direct your fellow brothers and sisters to help if they, it gets beyond kind of the scope of peer support, then, but
I guess it's trying to get it drilled into the person that you don't have to keep it hidden, right?
Yeah.
Some, you probably know some that were suffering severely, but didn't show it or wouldn't tell you.
It's tough I think that first step is a tough step to take.
Yeah.
It's important that we advocate for mental health. That's kind of one of our jobs as an association, is to advocate for, benefits and kind of that, a few years ago, that's when I said we were at Queen's Park kind of advocating. That was presumptive legislation for post-traumatic stress injuries. And it's not necessarily just, you can still do the job if you have, if you have an injury like that, mental health injury, you can still do the job. Just you got to talk to the right people.
There's got to be a lot of triggers though that happen, right? So you're in another scenario somewhere, and something will flood back to.
Yeah, and that's where I think if you get taught those coping mechanisms to deal with that, I think that's the healthiest thing for you as a person.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not an easy job, and I know people do struggle, and we always encourage them to reach out. So
that's life is cruel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what you see to compared to a normal citizen. I mean, any of us can run into something at any given time, especially motor vehicle accident.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with that, and then the trigger effects later, and how, like my father used to say, you would just do it. You would deal with it. Usually your adrenaline's going.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 days later, sometimes longer. All of a sudden it would just hit. I do remember my dad one time just breaking down.
Yeah.
And it was a bad car accident around Mitchell, and there were some young kids killed. And and he told me later what it was all about, but just hit him.
Yeah. And it's not something you really go home and talk about either. You don't want to put that on your family. You don't want to,
No. That's So there is help out there, and it's getting easier to claim all that, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure every firefighter, regardless, is going to have some form.
Yeah.
Just what I experienced going through that, crawling around it, just almost the fear of losing where you were, even though I knew it was fake. Like this is a scenario, right? A mock disaster, but in that specific time, your mind thinks it's real.
Yeah, and you can have traumatic mental health incidents without, it evolving to post-traumatic stress disorder, all that stuff. Like all events are, traumatic, but it's how you can deal with those. Is
just even certain
the health,
sounds,
right?
Sounds and stuff can set something off.
Yeah.
Certain call, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow, that's all right. So, okay, let's take a look at this little picture here.
Okay.
So, what do we got here, Daryl?
So that was I was on because one of our committees is the Muscular Dystrophy Committee within our association. So I was on the Muscular Dystrophy Committee with Tracy Yokowski, one of our dispatchers at the time.
Okay.
And we had raised money at a boot toll, and at the time, Scotiabank was matching up to $5,000. So that was the presentation of them presenting to boost our boot toll for muscular dystrophy.
Awesome. And then we're in another donation here on this one.
Yeah, that was to the Christmas Care. That one was
Christmas Care. Yeah.
We had our Christmas party, annual Christmas party, and a number of years ago we went away from our association Christmas party. Went away from giving the kids gifts to the kids bringing a gift, and then we kind of donate money internally and then match it as an association up to a certain amount. So,
Wow. Look at you, eh?
Yeah.
All right. How many members are on the fire department?
We have 61 members in the association, and then there's 3 up in administration. So,
Oh, wow.
so
Okay.
yeah.
So now I take it, this I'm going to guess is probably, is that a Christmas parade?
Yeah, that's exactly what that is.
It's kind of hard to tell with all the snow.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
where's it gone?
Depends on the year. One year at the Christmas parade, we had that big snowstorm after
Yeah.
the Christmas parade. Yeah, that was about 11 years
Yeah,
ago.
well,
but,
yeah, I was here for that,
yeah,
and
so-
I was actually setting up. That'd be around the time when I was
Yeah.
still at Rogers TV.
Yeah,
I think it's been
that's where we do the collecting of the goods and stuff for Christmas care. At the
a lot of
start
people
parade,
bring stuff for that.
Yeah,
eh?
it's pretty good.
That's
yeah.
pretty good. And then I'm gonna guess this is a new set of hydraulics.
Yeah, that's a bit of an old picture, but yeah, that's our e-hydraulics where we have those on our rescue truck now.
Okay.
Yeah, they're run by battery and they're pretty efficient and pretty strong tools.
Are they a very heavy tool?
They're pretty heavy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are heavier than the traditional one because all the motor and everything's in the unit. They are heavier than the ones that we used to hook up to. We do still have one of those sets, but you hook the hydraulic hoses.
I don't want this to sound bad.
Yeah.
And it's something that is, I guess it's okay. It's life.
Yeah.
So female firefighters.
Yep.
When they have to handle this equipment,
Mhm.
like, is it very hard for them, or are they trained enough that
They're
they
trained.
can get this?
Yeah.
it's
They're trained
not
to
a
the
problem?
same level. Everyone's trained to the same level.
Yeah.
Tested to the same level.
Okay.
All that stuff. No, we
Awesome.
we have
I mean, I've
a
never
few
said
females
they.
and they're great. So,
Yeah. No, they
yeah,
are great. They are
Yeah.
great. I just
Yeah.
wonder with some of this equipment,
Yeah,
it is very heavy stuff.
it is heavy. Yeah,
I mean,
But
when you do those challenges and the
Yeah.
firemen have to run up and they got all
Yeah.
that. What is it, 50 or 100 pounds
yeah.
on their
It's
back?
a lot. It
and-
depends what tools you have, but
Yeah.
it's also a team environment. It's not no one's there on their own, right?
Okay.
So you're working as a team.
Yeah.
So
You
yeah.
can switch out and
Yeah,
stuff.
well,
whatever,
that we
but-
would encourage it, but you just
Yeah.
work together for a positive outcome always.
Okay.
So
Well,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then this is, I think you're quite young in this one. So.
yeah, a few years ago, not
Yeah?
not too
Not
long
too-
ago,
not too long ago?
but that was McHappy Day one year.
Make
Yeah,
happy.
yeah,
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, yeah,
I can't say too much about that.
yeah.
I like my McDonald's. And this one, I think this is an Elgin Regiment. one,
Yeah,
right?
they were having
a few
a-
years back.
Yeah, I think last year.
Was that just?
I think it was last year because
Oh,
that's
yes.
the new trucks in that picture.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah,
so-
that was the. They went to the cemetery.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
believe. Yes.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, I
Yeah.
do remember that. I wasn't able to get over to it, but yeah. Okay,
yeah.
I was thinking that was older, so that's the new truck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the bucket right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh cool. How's that thing riding in it?
Good. It's a nice riding truck. So yeah.
I always say, God, I'd like to go up in that thing and go up, and then I'm like, nah.
It's pretty high. It's,
Yeah.
that's,
Who's that?
That's one of actually the pictures I mentioned earlier. That's one of the pictures on the wall.
Oh,
we have,
for
we have
the
an
members.
active board, and then we
Okay.
have the retired board. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So this is when you were first.
That was
Come on
few years on for sure. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Couldn't even tell it's you.
Yeah.
Couldn't even tell.
Yeah.
And then this one, of course, I see the old truck in the background. But
Oh.
what's going on here?
Yeah, that was my wedding day actually. So
Your wedding.
yeah, we
day,
had
and you-
the old the association owns the old fire truck. So
Okay.
so if you get married or you have a graduation for your kids or anything, you can, as long as you can drive it, you can take the truck
No,
to
really?
to those events.
That's
yeah.
cool. So even
Yeah.
at your wedding,
Yeah.
you're still doing the firefighting stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So
Yeah.
I'm going to get into a couple little rapid questions here.
Okay.
All right. So
I'll
here we
try
go.
my best.
We're wrapping up. So what makes Daryl happy?
My family, my son, I love to watch him play baseball, hockey, take him out golfing, all that kind of stuff.
And how old's your son?
13.
He's
Yeah.
13.
Yeah, he's busy.
Okay. Yeah, that's expensive time, right?
Yeah.
Or not expensive time, important time.
Important
is
time,
what I meant to say.
valuable.
I guess it is expensive
Especially,
too.
and
but-
that's that ties into the job as well. Sometimes you miss the events of hockey games and all that because of our shift work and stuff. But yeah, so you make up for with the time you do have.
Okay. What makes Daryl mad?
Oh gosh. What's
Yeah,
it? What's your dad always tell you? I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Oh yeah, that
No.
kind of. Yeah. I always
Yeah. Yeah.
I I thought my name was Bastard when I heard it. Honestly, I thought it was because that's all I
Yeah.
kept hearing. You little,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's things that frustrate you all the time, and you know, even when you're advocating or working for your members and stuff like that, sometimes you get very frustrated. And I'm a passionate individual, so I try and keep that in check most
You
I
know,
can.
I
and-
found that when doing the extinguishers for Cindy,
Yeah.
and I started traveling all over Ontario,
Yeah.
different fire departments.
Yeah.
There was only a couple of fire departments that gave me some resistance.
Yeah.
Most everybody were
Yeah.
just phenomenal, and
Yeah.
until I got to Queen's Park,
Yeah.
and then it was just full on. You
Mhm.
know, they were
Yeah.
all for it. We want this. You know, we're going to
Mhm.
support you. We're going to do this.
Yeah.
And then when I get there, oh well, you know, we can't really do this, and this isn't us that looks after it. It's this,
Oh, okay.
and I'm like, wow. So I feel the frustrations.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
especially when you're trying to get stuff for your members
Yeah.
that could save lives and stuff, and you get resistance.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's got to be
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
can be, but you
more
work
than
through it.
frustrating. You get really mad. So I know I was. So okay, so you're hopping on a plane right
Yep.
now.
Yep.
You and the fam.
Yeah.
Where you going?
Like to go on cruises, that kind of stuff.
Oh, do you?
So I like the warm sun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're kind of the cruise on
yeah.
the boat. And,
Yeah. It's my
Yeah?
son. We went our first one when my son was small with my wife's family, and I'd never even thought about it before, but it was pretty good, and my son really
Okay.
likes it. So lots for him to do.
I
It's-
have two
Yeah.
special things I want. I want to go to Scotland.
Yeah.
That's my bucket list.
Yeah,
I
that'd
want to
be
go to
fun.
Scotland and see the old castles.
Yeah.
And the other one for growing up, my dream vacation, just for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go into the mid states
Oh yeah.
and do the tornado chasing.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
love storms.
That's
I
intense.
always have loved storms.
Yeah.
And they used to always have, you could buy a package
Yeah.
and you could ride around with those guys in those cool cars and,
Yeah.
and get right into those storms.
Oh,
And,
wow.
and you can chase for 10 days, up to 2 weeks, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I'd love to do that. I really, really would. So,
Yeah.
one final question, I guess. If anybody growing up now, they're just, okay, like your son, you're in your
Mhm.
teens or whatever, and they want to join a fire department,
hmm
how do they do it?
I guess I can go back to my story. There's more than one way to do it. You know, originally when I was told by a guidance counselor, oh, you have to go to college and all that stuff, and my way was a little different. Don't give up, and I viewed it as this. When I was going through the process, I took every course I could. I was on the volunteer department to start. I took any
Okay.
course that came up. I took it. If it was basket weaving, I took it just to prove you can learn.
Okay.
But there is, you know, the volunteers now, they go through a schooling, and then they get their NFPA 1001, which is the firefighter certification, level 1 and 2. So typically everybody gets that, and that's kind of how you have to have that to apply pretty much anymore. So
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
if they go out, so say I went to
yeah,
Central Elgin and I
Yeah.
applied, and they said, okay, yeah, we'll
Yeah.
take you on.
yeah.
So before I can even do anything, I wind up going to school.
Yeah, I'm not
That's where-
sure exactly how it works now, because when I
Okay.
did that, it was a long time ago, and we
Yeah.
kind of did it on the job. But now I think
Yeah.
they might do a
Okay.
recruit style,
Okay.
and I don't know if those people are on the trucks or not, or how they
In
work
the city,
that.
is that very
Uh,
similar then? Is it
No,
like,
in the
so
city, you pretty much anybody that's been hired in, gosh, the last probably 15, 20 years has already had NFPA 1001.
Okay.
They have and hazmat and first aid.
Can an
secret, all that
individual
stuff.
go and get it on their own?
Yep. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
so
you can.
you
So you
can-
can go. Like I went to firefighting school in Texas, and there's
Okay.
one in there's Alberta. They're kind of
So
popped up
okay, so
everywhere
that
now.
wasn't
Yeah.
that wasn't from an employer. You did that.
Oh,
on
I
your
did.
own.
Yeah, I paid
Okay.
for school, did everything on my own. I just was
Oh,
lucky enough
wow.
to get a leave of absence to do it. So
Okay.
yeah, and it back then it was a lot of money then, and I'm not sure what it is now. But
Oh,
there's fire schools all over, and
okay.
just have to search one out that
Wow.
suits your needs. And yeah,
All right. So it's pretty intense. So
yeah.
all right. Anything else, Daryl?
No, I
You,
just I enjoy what I do for the association, and
Oh, there is one
Oh,
more thing I wanted
sure.
to ask.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, I almost forgot this. The fire muster.
Oh,
We had it.
Yeah,
We lost it.
yeah.
What happened? Was it a
Uh,
volunteer issue, or is it getting into more of the side of it's money, insurance, it's.
I would say
it
the
was
latter.
good turnout.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Yeah, I would say the latter.
Yeah.
It's I ran the fire muster for I think 11 years, 12 years. We had a year off there when Chief Broadbent passed away. We decided to not have that year, and it was a tough decision, but we wanted to be there for his family and to grieve in our own way too. So
Sure.
The community was very supportive of the decision to not have that
loved
year.
the muster.
But
cool.
it's a lot of money to have it on, like before you even, and then if you get rained out or anything, now it's and sponsorship way down, that kind of stuff. It makes it real tough, and there's not just any one thing. It's also the antique fire trucks that always came. Majority of them were personally owned. Okay. So those owners were having the expense of coming from near and far. Fuel,
we had some from states that would come up.
Motel costs, all that stuff.
Yeah.
We actually have a group of us from the area that go to Frankenmuth every year to a fire muster down there, and they have tons of fire trucks. And I think it's the third or the last weekend in July usually in Frankenmuth, and it's a really nice. It's kind of, at least we still get to do it a little bit. So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
It's too bad we couldn't get something just local that was just kind of our own celebration of our fire department here. And
Elmer did do a little bit of at their fair this year, incorporated a little bit of a fire muster with some games. I think they had a few teams do it, and that was also one year we set all the games up and all that, and we didn't have anybody to do them. So because we never ever needed pre-registration, there was always, we'd have 15 teams. I remember times being at the microphone waiting for them to finish so we could do the awards and all that, and then get the entertainment back on. And and then as it got on, people get busier, and people are busy with all their kids' sports and keeping family life and all that. And I think also the demand of because typically it'd be volunteers that would come out to the teams, and there's a lot expected of them now. So
I do know that the fire muster was well loved.
Yeah.
It's still talked about.
Thank
you guys for doing it though.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work.
I loved it. Even I remember being a kid going to it.
Yeah.
I remember we had rad problems on our old truck, and was with my mom, and I remember some firefighters come over helping us get the rad so we get home and fixing stuff up, and I went to it for several years.
That was probably a hard decision at the end to make.
Yeah.
To call it.
Yeah, it was. It's because I love the event. That's like I said. I remember it when I was a kid. And,
who knows in the future?
Yeah, you never know.
We never know. Something could come back similar.
Yeah.
Whatever. You never know what the people in the future are going to do.
Yeah.
So
maybe a car show, fire truck show one day.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Something. You never know.
So we'll get some thoughts.
Never say never.
You never say never. So. All right, Daryl. Thanks.
Thanks, Tony.
I appreciate it. That was some pretty good stuff.
Perfect.
Find out what the association does, its members, you guys. Thanks for doing what you do.
Perfect.
You guys are the heroes. You've already seen. I've always supported you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Always talk high. All our firefighters.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
You don't think much of it until you guys are needed, and by then it's. I mean, even with the apartment building here, and that I have to deal with.
Yeah.
A lot of laws too regarding residential and what I deal with, and it's like.
Yeah.
The fire department has been so awesome.
Yeah.
And anyway, I'd rather have you guys as friends than.
We appreciate it.
At least if I need you, the big red truck shows up pretty quick.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Pretty good. So thanks again.
Thanks,
I
Tony.
appreciate it. Everybody, Daryl Smith, president of the St. Thomas Fire Fighters Association. I hope you got a little bit of information out there. You were able to get some good points out of this. We got to hear what makes Daryl happy, what makes Daryl mad, and the hot dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
So now you can go back and...
I know exactly who that was.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so we'll see if you know. So, all right, thanks for tuning in, everybody. You take care.
All right. Thanks, Tony.
That's awesome. Very, very